Hey student, watch this video and learn the difference between why and how come coming up. Hey friends, Teacher Prix here to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. First of all, thank you so much for joining me on another English lesson. As you know, from Monday to Friday, I'm always here on YouTube making different kinds of videos to help you become a better and more confident English speaker. So consider subscribing because I have many different kinds of English lessons to help English learners from all over the world improve their English skills. Now let's dive into the content. Today we're going to talk about the difference between why and how come. Not many of you know the structure how come, so I thought of showing this video to you guys so that you can have an option. First of all, there's nothing wrong with why. You can continue using why, keep it up. If you prefer why, if why is easier for you, that's all right. But today I'm going to show you a different option, a different way to ask why. So, first of all, why and how come, they are the same thing, okay? If I want to know why, if I want an explanation, if I want to know the reason, if I want to have an explanation, I will use why or I can use how come. So let's make that very clear. How come is a different option, okay? It'll give the same idea as why. Now, there is a difference. What's going on? Okay, I don't know if you can hear this, but I can. It's annoying. Now, what's the difference? The difference is in the idea that changes a little bit, okay? And the structure. The structure changes, okay? So the way you make a question with why and the way you build a question with how come will change. So if you prefer to use why, go for it. But a very important difference is the way you will structure the question with how come, okay? Now, let's take a quick review. Let's have a quick review of how to use why and the explanations. I prepared a few examples for you guys. Why is a W8 question word, okay? So you will use why to ask questions that when you want to know the reason, when you want an explanation. So you will use the W8 question, why. Now, when you ask questions with why, you will follow the rules of interrogative sentences. Some rules using auxiliary verbs. If you are asking a question with verb to be, you will invert the position between subject and the verb to be, for example, or the same thing applies to could or can. You invert the position between the subject and the action. The same thing happens when you use auxiliary verbs, but then you have auxiliary verb, then the subject, then the verb, and the rest of the question. So this is a basic structure of a question. A W8 question word question, okay? So this is the traditional, conventional question, the type of question. So here I have some examples. Why do you study English? That's a question, that's the style of a question that I make with W8 question words. Why is Susan so angry? So you see, here I don't have an auxiliary verb because I'm using verb to be. So when I use to be, I don't use do or does. I can't. Okay, so why is Susan? I invert the position between the subject and to be. Why is Susan? Because if I say Susan is, that's an affirmative structure. I can't do that, okay? Why does Peter look so tired? Here I'm asking a question with does in the simple present. Singular, he, she, it. Peter, look. Nothing happens to the verb. In the next question, I'm using could. Why couldn't you come to my party last night? It's a simple past question, but because I am using could, I do not use did. So these are the traditional structures of questions that I can ask when I want to know why, when I want to know explanation. And as you have learned, why is the standard way to ask the reason for something or the purpose of something, okay? Now, depending on your intonation, depending on how you use your intonation when asking why, and depending on the kind of conversation you're having, using why can be a little confrontational, you know, and this can make the listener feel a little defensive. I don't want to tell you why. I don't want to talk about it. But it depends on the kind of conversation and a problem with my OBS. 1 second, guys. 1 second. 1 second. Yes, there was a problem. Can you guys hear me well? Don't know why. But I think I'm back. I'm back? Yes, I'm back. Okay, so why, as I was saying, is the standard way to ask a question in English, but you have to be very careful about the way you use your intonation, because depending on how you express yourself when asking a question with why, it can sound a little confrontational, okay? And this will make the person listening to you feel a little defensive. Oh, I don't want to talk to you, weird. Why are you asking me that? I don't want to know, okay? Excellent. Now, to answer questions that I made with why, I will use because. Simple like that, plain vanilla. I will use because to answer questions with why, because I want to give the explanation. Okay, so why do you study English? Well, because I want to live abroad. That's why. Why is Susan so angry? Well, because her boss told her off. You know, he scolded her. That's not nice. Why does Peter look so tired? Oh, because he worked all night long. Why couldn't you come to my party? Well, because I was sick. So to answer questions with why, you will use because. This doesn't change. Even when you use how come, you will use because to answer the question. That doesn't really change, okay? Now, moving on to how come, the star of the night. You will use how come to ask why something happened. So you want to know why. It's the same idea. However, you will use how come in more informal situations. That's the catch, okay? When using how come, you don't have the typical question structure. That is to say that when you're making questions with how come, you will follow, quote unquote, like affirmative and negative sentences, okay? You will not follow the interrogative structure. Intonation, okay, but the structure, the grammar structure, will not. You will follow an affirmative and a negative structure. I will show you. So here we have the example with why. Why do you study English? How come you study English? So you see, when I use how come, I make an affirmative structure. I don't use do. I don't use does. I don't use did, okay? I don't use this kind of question structure, okay? Next question. Why is Susan so angry? How come Susan is so angry? So you see, if I ask a question with why and verb to be, verb to be will come first, and then Susan, the subject, okay? With how come, I go on as an affirmative sentence. How come Susan is so angry? Okay? So I maintain the affirmative structure, and that's important. If you don't do that, then it's just better to use why, okay, and not how come. Why does Peter look so tired? How come Peter looks so tired? Now, if you pay attention here, looks. Remember that in affirmative sentences, I need to change the verb. I need to add s, es, or ies to my sentence. Fabiano Leite, thank you so much for your donation. Okay, I really appreciate it. Fabiano has just made a super chat. When you make a super chat, you help Teacher Prix, especially now. YouTube is going a little crazy, so I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Very nice, Jael. I'm happy to know you understand. That's amazing. Next time, write in English. Try that, okay? Now, going on to the examples, as I was saying, Peter looks tired. No does. Okay? And I have to change the verb, not look, looks, because I'm using how come. It's a different way to ask why. It's more informal, more casual. Okay? Why couldn't you come to my party last night? How come you couldn't come to my party last night? And here I forgot to delete was sick because I was sick. Typo mistakes. So as I was saying, this is the structure you follow. It's in a way it is easier because you don't need to think about the structures of questions when you are using how come. The idea is the same. I want to know why. Okay, that's what I want to know. Okay? Now, how come, I want to emphasize this again, I want to highlight this, is informal. It's casual, okay? Especially, you use how come, especially when you want to express surprise. Maybe you get to work and then your boss says something very surprising. If you have a good relationship, because it's informal, okay, it's an informal conversation, then you can say, wow, how come? And you can stop at how come, okay? You can, just with why, when I just say why, how come? It is possible to do that. Now, if you finish the question, which is common, okay, you can finish the question. Oh no, how come you are leaving the company? We love you. Maybe your boss comes to you and talks to you in private. Hey, I'm not going to work here anymore. I got a new job at a different company. Andrew, how come you're leaving? We love you. Oh, I was tired. I really needed a change. I really needed to do something different. So I'm leaving in 10 days. Oh well, start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. How come it's just a little bit more informal, okay? Yes, if you're writing, you're going to use why. Is that a question? If you are writing, are you going to use why? Yes, if you're guys, it depends. What kind of message are you writing? Are you writing a story? Because if you're writing a story, then you can do whatever you want. But are you writing an email? Then if you're writing an email at work, let's imagine this. You're writing an email at work. I'm not gonna say directly why can't you do this for me. In an email, if you are at a formal environment, maybe you would say, hey, I would like to ask you why this is happening. I was wondering why. You never start directly with why if it's a more formal environment and you're writing. There are better ways to ask questions with why if you are writing. Okay, so be very careful with what you mean by writing. If you're writing a message to your friend on WhatsApp, my friend, you can do anything you want. You can say why. Actually, native speakers, if they are chatting, they will not type why. They will type just the letter Y. Why? Let me just close this. Close. They will just ask why and put a question mark. So you see, English can become extremely informal. So what I'm explaining here will be much more useful in spoken conversations, because if you're chatting with a friend, you can be even more informal and you're not going to type complete words. You will abbreviate a lot of things. Think about your language. Think about all the crazy abbreviations you use in conversations on the internet. We do the same in English, okay? The same thing happens. When I'm writing the pronoun you, I'm not gonna write Y-O-U. I'm gonna write you, only the letter U. So this happens in informal conversations. Now, if you're writing a document, a report, something a little bit more formal, then okay, you're going to ask why, but maybe the way you structure your phrase will not begin right away with the word why. Okay, so I believe that in formal meetings, for example, you will use why. I definitely recommend using why, but be very careful with the way you begin your question during a meeting. Okay, because again, depending on intonation, depending on how you structure your question, you may sound a little bit too confrontational, and this may not be a positive thing for you, okay? Nothing wrong with why. Just keep that in mind that it depends on how you're talking. If it's a very formal environment, think about how you make your sentence when you want to know why. There's always a better way to ask why. Okay, so this is important. So as I said, informal, you are surprised. So usually when you receive surprising news, this is a good way to go. I was watching Friends. Because everybody's in quarantine. I'm watching Friends a lot, and I think I watched 2 episodes where they use "How come." Again, surprising news. They heard something surprising, and then Rachel immediately said, "Oh, how come? Why?" Okay, basically she wanted to know why. And then I think Phoebe, "Oh, how come?" Okay, so it was informal. It's a moment when she's expressing surprise because of something she had listened to, she had heard. Okay, now, how come you haven't subscribed to my channel yet? Make sure to subscribe because that supports the channel. I know that you guys are enjoying. If possible, hit the like button because that helps me understand that this is the kind of lesson you enjoy. This is the kind of lesson that you feel like it's productive and is gonna help you somehow. So I really appreciate that. It would be great if you could give us some lessons about TOEFL, writing and speaking. Yeah, TOEFL is a little bit more complicated. I have private students that do TOEFL. I give preparation courses and stuff. But based on the audience, based on the people who watch my channel, at this moment, TOEFL would not be the best way to go. Maybe in the future I can do that. Fabiano says, "I've already done it." You've already subscribed. That's amazing. If you have already hit the like button, that's amazing too. Thank you very, very much, Fabiano. Let's see if there are more questions and comments. Oh my God, I don't know what that is, Fabiano. How come seems like oxente. Ah, okay. Are you from Northeast? That's probably why. That's a Portuguese word. Not very common in São Paulo. Okay. Excellent, my friends. I gotta go because I got stuff to do. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have English questions, post them down in the comments if you're watching the replay. I always take a look at the comments. Even if I don't reply them, I check them out. Okay? So check the comments. Let me know what English questions you may have, and I will make sure to prepare something nice for you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow for another English lesson. Bye-bye.